Coming up on today's edition of Bengals Breakdown, we're looking at what could be some surprising changes to the Bengals starting lineup after a adventurous, fun, even I'd say good 2024 NFL offseason for the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll break that down for you on today's show. But first, if you can't wait for the Bengals 2024 season, look, last year was a little bit of a lost year because Burrow got hurt. If you are excited about this year's version, then like today's video for me right now. I can't wait. I know Stone can't wait to do some watch parties as well. So if you are excited about the Bengals 2024 campaign, being a little bit of ways, but it'll be here soon, like today's video for me right now. Before we get to some of the player stuff, I do want to mention at least the offensive coaching staff. Defense has really no changes of note. Brian Callahan, who was the coordinator, is gone, but the brains behind the operation, at least the main brain, left or right, depending on how you are, is Zac Taylor. So I don't expect many massive changes. I do think we will see some more under-center stuff for Joe Burrow. Some more turn your back to the ball and then, or to the defense and do some play-action stuff. So starting at quarterback, it's the franchise guy, the top 5 quarterback in the NFL. It's Joe Burrow. The number one thing for me, just got to keep him healthy, right? If Burrow is healthy, this is a championship caliber team. Not to say they're guaranteed to win. We know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. But as long as he is out there, Burrow gives them chances and good chances to win every single game they're involved in, especially with the way the rest of the roster is constructed. Starting at running back, meanwhile, welcome to Cincinnati, Zach Moss. I think there will be a role for Chase Brown. I am excited for him on top of that. But I am most intrigued to see Zach Moss be a huge part of this new-look Bengals ground game. I was very impressed by what I saw last year out of Moss. After seeing some smaller sample size flashes in 2022, and strangely enough, the Colts, they flipped Nyheim Hines to get a draft pick, and the Bills sent off Zach Moss, part of it. They got the better running back in that deal, crazily enough, which doesn't always happen quite that way. I was impressed by Zach Moss in a rotation alongside Jonathan Taylor. Their numbers were highly similar, which I think speaks to, some growth we've seen from Zach Moss. Bengals are not paying him very much money. I really liked that deal. So with Moss in, probably a bigger role for Chase Brown and more Joe Mixon, will the Bengals ground game be better in 2024? Go ahead and sound off the pinned comment of today's show by typing in Y for yes, it will be, N for no, it will not. Starting at wide receiver, the two obvious names. It is Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And this is one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL at the wide receiver spot. Higgins will be there for week 1. He's not going to pass up on what amounts to over $1 million per game. He's not an idiot. But he might not be there for a good portion of training camp. And frankly, for a receiver, he doesn't need to be there right away, but he'll show up. He'll show up. It's the other starting wide receiver that I'm actually more intrigued by. Chase and Higgins are a dynamic 1-2 punch. Who's the third? Tyler Boyd is gone. He's not going to come back. Is it Jermaine Burton? Burton was the higher investment of these guys. He was the 3rd-round pick out of Alabama who showcased, and he's looked very good in the early workout stuff, but he's also like, hey, this isn't real football, which I actually appreciate that. Got better every single year. Has that dog in him. Sometimes got too much dog in him. It's the beware of dog sign, right? I think as a tertiary option, I'm very intrigued by him. I'm also not out on either Charlie Jones or Andre Yoshivas. And I think the Bengals only drafting one wide receiver means all these guys are going to make the 53-man roster. Jones offers return value that helps him out. And I was quite impressed by Yoshi, who clearly had some chemistry in the red zone. Now, he is never, when the volume goes up in terms of catches, he's not going to be able to maintain the level of, touchdown to catch ratio. That's not doable, once it scales beyond that. So touchdowns might even drop this year. But the catches could certainly go up too. So pick a wide receiver 3. JB for Jermaine Burton, CJ for Charlie Jones, or AI for Andre Yoshivas. You can sound off where else but the comment section. JB, CJ, or AI for Andre Yoshivas. Starting at tight end, is zero surprise here. Sorry, Eric All or Hudson or Sample or whatever. It's Mike Gesicki. Now, there'll be rotation stuff. Gesicki is not a great blocker, but he is a seam stretching, pass catching option for Cincinnati in a way we haven't always seen that guy, that impact before. So I am very excited to see how he ends up faring in the 2024 campaign. We will get to the offensive line here momentarily, but the Amarius Mims jerseys are available over at chatsports.com/Amarius Mims, AMARIUS MIMS. That's tricky to spell sometimes. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Mims is rocking 71, a fantastic number for a right tackle. Get the rookie jersey today. Hopefully, he has a bigger than maybe even expected impact, not just long-term, but short-term as well. Speaking of the offensive line, barring injuries, knock on wood, there's really only one change. Jonah Williams off to Arizona. He's going to start for the Cardinals along their offensive line. Orlando Brown is back. Cordell Volson's back. Ted Karras, Alex Kappa. Right tackle is new. And I wouldn't be shocked if at some point Mims does earn a starting role in Cincinnati in year one. But they have the ability to be patient on that front. Trent Brown, he is not a superstar caliber player necessarily. He's not getting paid very much money, but he does offer starting caliber ability. And he can also play on the left side. That's why I loved that signing. It was such an affordable contract. You're not paying very much money for him. Worst case, he's your backup. It's great. In an ideal world for me, at least, and the Bengals will be patient as they should be, Mims starts week one. I don't think that ends up happening, but he should play in the preseason because he needs the reps. Probably give him more preseason reps he'd normally give to a first-round pick, but he just hasn't played enough to really be like, the upside is so intriguing to me. I love what Mims offers. I was super high on him. Even higher than where the Bengals took him overall on my board. I think he's going to be a long-term piece for this organization. So what side of the ball, we'll get to defense here in a second, do you have more confidence in? O for the offense or D for the defense? Where do you feel better at as we sit right now? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section right now. The Bengals defensive tackle depth chart, two clear-cut starters. It's Sheldon Rankins, B.J. Hill. There will be rotation. Chris Jenkins will rotate in. McKinley Jackson will probably play a bunch on early downs too. We'll see about Zachary Carter. Not feeling too great about that one. Rankins is the big change. This is a player, by the way, the Bengals had interest in the last time he was due for a contract. When he left the Saints and went to the Jets, they're like, we like you. So there's been some flirtation in the past, and the timing worked out this time. Now they're ready to be together, whatever. It's going to be a different style of defensive tackle play, but there are, I think, more viable pieces than what were available last year. At linebacker, it's going to be nickel so frequently, so it's mostly going to be Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. You'll see some of ADG out there, Akeem Davis-Gaither. It's going to be Wilson and Pratt. As I've mentioned before, those guys got to play better. They are no longer cheap rookie contract players. They're being paid like starting linebackers. I need impact plays more frequently out of them. Now, if you want to stay in the loop all Bengals off season long with OTA coverage getting started next week, main camp, training camp, preseason as well, hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/BengalsTV. Trey Hendrickson is one clear-cut starter along the defensive line. After his, I want a new contract, or trade me, or I'm going to hold out, or I'm going to retire. I think the Bengals were like, okay, buddy. And Hendrickson's like, I'll be there. He showed up for the voluntary phase of workouts. There's no trade is happening. He knows that. His running mate will mostly be Sam Hubbard, coming off an injury last year. As a run defender, and I think you saw the Bengals missing the high-level play from Hubbard as a run stopper. They needed more out of him because he was banged up so much last year. I appreciate him gutting through it. Get him healthy. Things will be better there. And then hopefully more Myles Murphy snaps in particular this upcoming season. We'll see if Joseph Asai, what his future is, Cam Sample, Cedric Johnson, etc. Murphy is primed to play a bigger role, I believe, this upcoming season. Now, the defensive backfield is a little bit different this year. Cam Taylor-Britt is clearly locked in as corner one. And Mike Hilton is going to be your nickel. I don't see them benching him. He's still too good to play Dax Hill over him there. I think DJ Turner ends up being CB2. Maybe they let Dax Hill get a role there, but I don't know if he's an outside corner, frankly. Geno Stone's going to be one starter at safety. I'm going to give the edge to Von Bell over Jordan Battle. I think we will still see Jordan Battle, but the Bengals made a big deal about all these blown assignments in the back end. And I think not having Von Bell back there was a factor in that. I think there was too much change at safety. So, in a way, there's a lot of change at safety, but also the return of an old friend in Von Bell. So I want you guys to rate the Bengals roster for me, Madden style. 1 to 100 is your scale. Go ahead and do it in the comments section.